Hi there.
Hey y'all. How are y'all today? How are you today, Rachel?
Oh, that's sweet. Thanks. I'm good. I'm real good. I'm feeling full.
Okay.
Lots of gratitude today. Thank
Okay.
you. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
I'm feeling very relaxed.
Ooh, zenny.
Feeling
I like
very
it.
zen today.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, interesting
talk
you should
about?
ask, because that's probably a good segue into our conversation.
Okay.
A lot of times we get asked that question and we're like, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Lies.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is sometimes I feel bad when I'm honest.
Do you?
Like, yeah. So like I feel like I'm like laying a burden on somebody. So like if a real friend asks me, how am I? I'll be like, girl, you really want to know?
Because I have a story for you.
All the things. That's how I feel. All the things. And then I'll like let it all out and I'm like, so how are you? Like that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel bad.
So to that point, know your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't just tell all your truth to everybody and floodlight the heck out of them.
Right.
Floodlight, that's a Brene Brown term.
Oh, okay.
Daring
hey,
Greatly, great book.
Hey, Brene.
You know, that's when you like open all your vulnerable stuff up to somebody that you maybe kind of have a relationship with, but it wasn't like that yet.
Right.
And then you scare them off. They're like, whoa, that was a lot.
Right. Don't
So,
ask her
you
any
know,
more questions.
Read the audience.
Yeah.
Know who your people are. But today what we're going to talk about is honesty, or I prefer to talk about it in terms of standing in your truth, speaking impeccably. Those are two of my favorite ways to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Dominique likes to say speaking truth to power, which is a powerful statement.
Yeah. When I think of honesty, I think that's like one of the most important times, to be honest, is when you're speaking truth to power. Yeah.
Yeah. And then how this all relates to, again, your relationship with you and internal integrity, which is a big term I use with KP Consulting, life coaching, all the time with my clients. Because, I send them away with homework, and they could go home and be like, yeah, I did all the observation on that thing, and I found out that I'm incredibly amazing at this, that, and the other thing, and my awareness is through the roof.
Right.
And I'm like, really? You didn't falter at all?
Mm-hmm.
And they could easily have convinced themselves of that truth, right? Because we are good at validating internally non-truths, what we say.
But I'm like, you always know when you lying to yourself.
You do know.
You always know. Like, that's why I think journaling is so powerful. Because even when you journal, you know what you didn't write. You know what you left out. You know how you're lying to yourself.
Or you surprise yourself with what comes out onto the paper, and you're like, oh,
when you know that
boy.
you're the only one who's gonna see it.
Oh man, read that truth.
Yeah, that's real.
And that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, and to go back to our 5 factors of healthy relationships, when we're dealing with our relationship with ourselves, journaling can be really cool for that reason, because you can just kind of start writing and things come out of your pen and onto the paper that you didn't even realize were things that you had in you.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It's because there's a safe space in that journal, which you've created. And so I think when we think about our relationship with ourselves and the security and respect and safe space portion of that, we think it's a no-brainer. Of course I'm a safe space for me. No, everybody's not a safe space for themselves.
That is so... I don't think people... I hate to speculate, but I don't think in general that people really question whether or not they are a safe space for themselves.
I mean, they don't even consider that they would need to be.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And the thing is, we do have to create safe spaces for ourselves, with ourselves. Because...
How do you do that?
Yeah, because otherwise you're not talking to yourself, right? You're not sharing your truth. You're spending a lot of time validating. That's when people are like... maybe not feeling well, maybe they're even full blown like depression, and they're like, no, I'm fine, until they break down, right?
Well, would you say that makes me think they are talking to themselves, but they're speaking negatively, which is why it's not a safe space, which could be why. You get what I mean? Like, if you are speaking negatively to yourself, putting yourself down, doubting yourself, then you are not a safe space for yourself to like believe in you and to rebuild your self-worth. You know what I mean? Like it's the same way if I'm talking to you and you're always putting me down,
Yeah, I'm not coming
then
to you
I'm
to
not
talk
gonna come to
you about
you.
me.
Right? You can't. This isn't a safe space for
Right.
you to build me up.
Right.
That, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so
Full.
you probably are talking to yourself, but it's negative self-talk.
Yeah, and cultivating a safe space, the same way you'd cultivate it for somebody else, you have to cultivate it for you. You have to nurture it and protect it and, keep it, open
that's
and
so
protected. Not really the topic today, but the topic today.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece to having internal integrity and having a space where you can, say things that maybe you're disappointed in yourself for doing or feeling ashamed of, feeling guilt for, and you're afraid to say them out loud or say them in your head because you don't want them to become more powerful. But the truth is, sometimes you just gotta say it, get it out there.
Yeah.
The thing you're afraid of gets less scary when you look at it, right? So it's Oz behind the curtain. He's not scary. He's just a guy, but he made you think he was huge and terrifying.
Yeah. Like our talk about anxiety. Yeah.
Right.
So real.
Yeah. So, one of the ways one of the ways I learned to do this was I read the book The 4 Agreements by Dominique, who's amazing. He has a few books that I really love, but that one, The 4 Agreements, one of the agreements is to speak impeccably. And it's something I know I practice daily. I think about daily. I want to make sure that what I say is what I mean, and I want to make sure that what they understood is what I said.
Yeah.
And I want, so sometimes that takes a little bit more effort or checking in or reflecting, because I might have to say it differently if I really want you to understand, right?
Yeah.
And being a safe space for you to ask the questions if you're not understanding me fully.
This is so much. To effectively communicate, there's so many factors to consider.
So if we're just talking about speaking impeccably.
Yeah.
And if you're just trying to make sure your delivery is on point and understood honestly, you've got to put some effort into that and some attention. And so one of the things that then I'm actually was quite kind of triggered by this topic. It moved, maybe less than triggered, or more than triggered. One of the ways I like to say it is standing in your truth, which for me was a very, it was a literal physical thing that I had to start to do. And I probably started doing it at 20-something, maybe 30. Just had a birthday.
At least you started, because, there are a lot of people who can't say they started ever. The place I realized
the thing that was kind of the catalyst for me starting to do that and talk about it was that I often am perceived as a boy, as a male, and a very young boy. And I would go into the restroom. It's a somewhat scary thing for me my whole life since I was 7.
That makes me so sad.
Grew my hair out when I was in middle school, and then they told me I looked like Hanson. So I was like, oh, they're boys too.
Yeah.
So anyway, at 20-something, probably 30-something, at 34, I still have that. Happens to me. But what I realized I was doing is when I would go into the restroom, because I knew it was a challenging situation for me because of the way I express in image. I am a masculine expressive, right? I'm masculine of center. I took the responsibility on to make other people comfortable in the restroom with the way I walk the world. Wow. And I thought that was totally fine. And I
probably thought it was you being considerate.
I thought it was me lessening the stress I was about to go under.
Yeah.
Right? And here's the thing, I would literally soften my posture or smile a lot more or speak softly so that people would greet people. Eye contact I like, but I would do all kinds of things to appear more feminine. And then I realized I was making myself uncomfortable because I was putting other people's comfort ahead of my own comfort and security. And I'm not doing anything wrong when I'm in that restroom. I belong there. It's for me.
Right.
And I need to feel like
in your truth
it's for me. And I was not standing in my truth. And I also realized, and this was a game changer, when I stand in my truth, I am a gift to everybody that experiences me. So the woman that I made uncomfortable, even though I tried to soften the way I showed up in that restroom, she now does not have to stretch and understand that there are people that express differently than the stereotypical woman.
Yeah.
And she's not gotten better.
Yeah.
And I've bent myself out of shape to make it easier for her not to get better.
Wow.
And I'm done doing that. And I hope most people are.
Right. And I'm proud of you for that. That's not an easy thing to do, especially in our society. And usually the burden is on the person who, stands out in some way. And we all stand out in some way. So then it ends up being on all of us. But, there are ways where it's going to happen more often.
Yeah. Yep. The person that
so
needs a little bit more love to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
The marginalized group, whoever
Right.
that may be. Me in the bathroom. People of
Right.
color in predominantly white spaces, which is a lot of spaces in our country. We're putting the burden on you to find, on us, on them, to find security or create security for themselves when we just need to tell it's okay for all of us to be here. We all belong in these spaces, and that's okay.
Right.
And
it doesn't. You don't have to. What you just said made me think. Some of the things that we interpret as threats to our safety and our comfort really aren't. Like, there are times that we invest too much into what it takes for us to be comfortable. If you're in the bathroom and somebody, you know where I'm going? If you're in the bathroom and somebody is in there and you're not quite sure, that doesn't mean that there's any threat to you. Because they are in there doing the same thing you're doing.
Minding their business.
Minding their whole business. But sometimes we tell ourselves stories.
Yeah, and the number of assumptions, which is another agreement of Don Miguel Ruiz in the 4 agreements, don't make assumptions. The number of assumptions you have to make about that human being and how they got into that restroom and thought they belonged there.
Right.
And how many errors they must have made along the way.
Right.
In order for them to be there in that way. Wow.
Yeah, and the assumptions you have to make for you to determine that you are unsafe.
With no visible threat.
Right, with absolutely no threat. And now it is on them to make you feel more safe when you are in an unreasonable place to even feel threatened in the first place.
And the fact that you feel threatened, my God, this is every... Yeah. The fact that you feel threatened is the very thing that makes it way more dangerous for them to be in the space that they actually belong in.
Okay.
That's messed up, man.
You know what I'm thinking about.
I know exactly, because this started about me and my truth and me standing in the women's restroom wanting to go to the bathroom feeling ashamed or awkward or whatever. And the truth is that I am my experience in this is so minimal compared to black people in America, trans people in America, gay people in America. It's messed up.
Yeah. And it's just one of your things that you have to deal with. Ooh, this is a lot. But I think to come back around, because this topic is so broad.
Yeah.
In terms of what I think this tells us about honesty and in standing in our truth, and our internal integrity is that you might have to do some growing to go through and shed some of the things that other people will project onto you that you will, maybe even willingly take on in order to be considerate of other people, but really, like you said, to keep them from having to stretch and grow.
And that's where the game changer of understanding that when people stretch because of the way you show up naturally and effortlessly and lovingly in the world is the very thing that makes you a gift, not a threat. Let them call it what they want. And it might take them years to realize that you were a gift to them.
Yeah.
It might take 25 experiences with people like you, like us, like not like them,
right,
whatever kind of difference that is, for them to get a light bulb to go off. And maybe they never do, but if you gave them your gift, well, God bless you.
And I mean, to some extent, that's all you can do is focus on you and where you are with it and your growth with it, and not allowing other people's stagnance and lack of awareness and ignorance and whatever
bias.
Right. You can't let all of that dictate how you move in the world. you know, like, what?
If the what's Gandhi, right? Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
If you know, we're like, oh, okay, well, let me go and like do something or take an action or affect change in some way. You know how you do that? You go be you wherever you are and make people deal with that.
Yeah.
Confidently, securely, mindfully, because obviously there are
under
circumstances
threats.
there are dangers.
There are legitimate so what you just made me think of is I have this friend that I went to college with. Shout out to Sam. He's just like one of those amazing human beings, like that you very rarely, get to experience. He's definitely a unicorn. And what he told me once that has stuck with me for years and years and years is that there were times that he would be walking behind a woman and it was dark and like late at night, and he would like sort of announce himself and like, let there be more distance between them. Like he would go out of his way to sort of give her more space and hopefully more comfort. That was certainly his intention in announcing himself and all of that. And that has stuck with me because I was just like, wow, like that is a legitimate situation. Like that is a legitimate threat. I have definitely been in that woman's shoes.
Sure. And
felt uncomfortable and unsafe, potentially unsafe. And so that kind of consideration, that kind of being mindful.
This is good.
That's
so good, right? So two things.
Okay.
One, there's this campaign, and I don't know a lot about it. My friend Joe, shout out Joe, hey Joe, told me about it, and it's called, I think it's like, I'll Go With You.
Yes.
I told you about it, right? Yes. So it's this idea that anybody that has to go into a space that maybe doesn't feel like it's for them all the way, or they're going to be the marginalized community in that space, and they're nervous or uncomfortable, somebody with privilege in that space, which could be a man in a male space, a white person in a white space, a gay person in a gay space, like whatever space it is, that privilege changes, right?
Right.
So somebody with privilege in that space goes with you. So you have what's the word? Oh my God, it's slipping my mind. You have
oh man, I wish I could help.
I can't believe that. It's not even a hard word. I'm real smart. I don't understand. But like a comrade, basically. Yeah. Somebody that has your back, right?
An ally?
Okay. Good God. You have an ally immediately, and just their presence near you is they're using their privilege for good, to help grow the space, stretch the space, bring people into the space that maybe aren't easily in that space. To help you stand in
your truth.
To help you more easily stand in your truth. Ooh. Because the people there might not just be giving you a little more love, might not do that for you. But this person says, I'll go with you. So because of the bathroom is a thing for me, I was like half in tears, I think, when she told me about that. I was like, oh my God, when I say I got to go to the bathroom, and if I'm with friends, and somebody's like, I'll go with you, which is hilarious. It's awesome that's the name of it, because it's literally what they say. Yeah. They know they're going with me because they don't want me to have to deal with somebody on my own without backup, without camaraderie, right? And the minute I'm in that restroom with somebody else, people are less likely to say something. Yeah. Because they know I'm with them. Yeah. If they do, I don't have to be the only one that speaks up for myself, right? And I need to practice, and I need to be able to, and I have to find my voice and do that, which took years, 30, like I said. But to have somebody, to know somebody's there if that doesn't go well, that can be like, nope, what she said, oh. Right?
Okay.
And then you just have an ally. You feel safer. You're not alone. So I love that campaign, and maybe I'll like tag it in this post, because I think that's such an amazing thing. And you can think about like all the places that would be effective. This guy doing that is him using his privilege, being a male on the streets at night, understanding the threat that might feel to a woman, right? And knowing there's a privilege in being a man that's less threatened by strangers, because there's a understanding that maybe he's not as vulnerable as her. Right. He used his powers for good. He used his privilege for good to say,
that is who he is.
Hey, I'm going to stay back here. You're safe. I know, whatever. Right. I don't want to creep up on you, whatever. And that's what the whole theme of this I'll Go With You kind of is. And What a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, we all have privileges. Some people have many privileges, the most privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have less privilege. Some people have very minimal privilege, right?
Yeah.
But if you can figure out how to use your privilege to help others, because you can't get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I don't want to have privilege. Well, too damn bad.
Right. You have it.
You got it. The world is going to give it to you like it or
exactly.
not.
Ooh,
So
that's a whole word.
To instead of just ignore it, deny it, hope people don't notice you have it, and you walk around a little easier than other people.
Right.
Use it.
Right.
Go
Don't
with
denounce
somebody.
it.
Yeah.
Use it. Leverage it.
Yeah.
Help the people who don't have
Be
it.
the change you want to see in the world. Go with somebody.
Yeah.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Go be you wherever you go, and let
Yes.
people figure that out for
Yes.
themselves.
And
Stretch
let
somebody.
that be your truth. Let that be how you are being true to yourself.
Be a gift.
And how you're honoring yourself, right? And honoring other people by being a gift to them. I agree with that.
Yeah, enabling them to have all their bias and never have to look at themselves. You're enabling them. That's not. You're better than that.
Yeah. And so if you need help, I guess, with standing in your truth,
Yeah.
then get an ally.
Mm-hmm.
Get somebody who can stand with you, who can go with you.
Practice.
Yeah, so for both ends, you know, if you have that privilege, offer it to somebody who can benefit from it. If you don't have that and you need that to help you grow, you know, stronger in terms of standing in your truth, then get an ally.
Yeah,
You know, like get someone to help you do that.
And if you don't have the privilege of finding an ally, because that's probably a privilege
That's
all
a
on its
privilege.
own,
That's
having
true.
support systems and knowing where to get them, inbox us. I'll help you. I'll be your ally.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yes. Yes, we will be your ally.
I will be
and
your resource.
I don't know about that program.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up, and I'm gonna definitely tag them in this.
Yeah, maybe that's something similar.
Right.
Maybe that's
They have resources.
building a network of people to go with you. So look into that too.
Yeah.
But I have to believe on a spiritual level that if you are seeking this out, and if you are seeking,
Let's go there.
if you are seeking to stand in your truth and to honor who you are, and if you are on that journey, that somebody is already headed your way.
It will find you.
Yeah, I have to believe that. I don't want to just say, "Oh, you'll be fine," but
But you
do
will be.
think you'll be fine.
The universe has got you.
Yes, I have to believe that.
Totally
so.
agree. If you're putting it out there, it's like legit a need and something you desire to have in your life, the universe has got you. It will bring it your way as long as you stay open to receive it.
Yeah.
It will probably show up within the next 10 to seconds to 2 days.
Yes, you'll be surprised when
And
you
when
start
it does,
that
I want
journey.
you to also comment on
Right,
this
let
post,
us know.
because that
But
stuff
when you
is my
start
favorite.
that journey, that truth journey, when you start that journey of honoring yourself, building your self-worth, standing in your truth, honoring your truth, even just discovering what your truth is,
Hey.
I think that, the universe sends all the people, all the resources, everything.
Yep, the
People
mirror.
come because they are here to help you do that. I wholeheartedly believe
Absolutely.
that.
As humans, we were built to connect.
Agreed.
That's how we work. We don't work
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
So we're here for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we want to be a resource. We want you to remember that little word. We also want you to consider not just having that stand in your truth and this external expression of truth, but also that internal integrity.
Mm-hmm.
If you catch yourself telling yourself a story you know is not true, you know in your gut that you're not telling the truth, check that. Check yourself and tell the truth. And it's okay to mess up. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to validate mistakes with excuses inside your head and in your heart. It's okay to have a mistake and not be valid.
Mm-hmm. And I think in checking yourself, asking yourself why you're telling yourself that untruth about yourself will help you on that journey of finding, discovering, and standing in your truth.
Right. And
just question it. Like, why am I... Get curious about...
There it is.
Why I feel like I need to tell myself that. Is there something that I'm afraid of? Is there something that I... dislike about myself? Is there like a pattern? Am I triggered right now?
Why am I afraid to be vulnerable with myself?
Right. Like why am I not able
Lack of courage?
to find the courage to be vulnerable right now?
Right.
What is keeping me from doing that? What have I been taught? What do I need to unlearn? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when she says check yourself, get very curious. Take the time to really do a check to find out why you're telling yourself something that's not true.
Yeah.
Even if like I tell myself things that really amount to me being afraid, and I'm like, so why am I telling myself that's even a possibility right now?
So I remember when I told you that one of my mantras, it's got to go away, it's a bad one, is I got this, I got this, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were doing a facilitation and we put it up on the board as like a positive statement, I was like, oh, that is a negative statement in my
Right.
world. When I say I got this, I am lying to Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you are telling yourself you got it so that you can convince yourself you don't need help. And sometimes you just need help.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't
okay.
got it.
Right.
And that's okay. And so for me, I've got to cut that statement out of my mantras because I use it in a negative format. And the truth is, I got it because I'm too vulnerable. I'm not courageous enough to get vulnerable, to get the help I need, and know that doesn't lessen my self-worth.
Yeah.
Needing help is not make me unworthy. But that's the lie I've been telling myself.
Ooh.
And that's where I need to be better with my internal integrity. And I need to say, I need help. And I'm worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Both are true.
Yeah. Man, that is so true.
I know.
That we just went
Because
in,
you know
y'all.
why it's true?
Why?
Because we speak impeccably.
That
So
okay.
we here doing the thing, practicing every day.
Okay.
Look, and it ain't
Listen.
easy, and you're gonna falter, and I falter, and you falter. We
Yeah.
mess up every day.
Yeah.
And trust me, we mess up in these videos. I'm sure of it.
All
but
the time.
I'm committed to very few things every day, and this helps me a lot kind of stay focused. I'm committed to being in the present moment, staying on my high flying disc. That's Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks nonsense, which is the best.
Okay.
We'll talk about that another day. Nurturing and continuing to be courageous, because I have found courage kind of recently in my life in a new way, and I am practicing daily nurturing that courage. And to be impeccable, to speak impeccably.
Yeah.
I want to tell the truth when I speak.
Yeah. And the key with what you just said before you listed the things that you're focused on right now is that you do not become less worthy because you make a mistake or because you are human, right? Humanity is a huge thing to be aware of when you're on a spiritual journey, is that we are still living in these human bodies. So just keep that in mind. However that shows up for you, that while you're trying to do this, while you're trying to stand in your truth and making this effort to do so impeccably and to speak impeccably and, to not make assumptions and all the things that we've said, if you fall short one day, one moment, that does not make you unworthy. We can start over the next moment, the next day, the next hour, whatever it is, but you are not unworthy because of that. That does not affect your...
Are we ready for this full circle
self-worth.
moment?
Okay, come on, full circle.
You're not ready. So when I walk into that restroom and I decide to stand in my truth and give those people a gift to figure out how to cope with the discomfort of my appearance, and I, instead of enabling their biases and enabling their discomfort, I choose to challenge them and give them grace when they make that mistake, because they too are no less worthy for making that error. But I'm not honoring them and their ability and who they have the potential to be when I enable them.
Yes.
From dealing with that and,
Wow.
and being allowed to make that mistake.
How your self-worth, you building your self-worth, contributes to you helping someone else.
So if I'm going to put
Theirs.
energy out in that moment, I want it to be constructive, and enabling them is destructive,
Yeah.
and standing in my truth and letting them stretch and letting them falter and giving them giving energy toward giving them grace instead of enablement, it's a gift.
I agree. I'm done. That's it.
Drop the mic.
Right, drop the mic on that.
Look, we teach love.
We teach love.
That's what we do.
Okay, bye y'all.
Peace.